Are EVs gone? Are we witnessing the death of EVs? Within a year, many EV manufacturers have closed their doors. Some haven't completely shut down production, but many have done so. And it looks like Ford has joined the long and still growing list of car manufacturers shutting down their EV production. It seems EVs will soon become history, and it is dying slowly. So why is this happening? The competition is steep. EVs are catching fire. Your trusted EV can become difficult to use in cold weather. China is now monopolizing EV battery components, and the EV market has been dealt many blows within the last year. If this was a boxing match, the referee would have had to bring the match as EV would have gotten knocked out. The question is this: now that Ford has pulled out of the EV market, how many more blows can EVs take, and what is the future of EVs? Join us as we take you on this trip. The CEO of Ford Motor Group, Jim Farley, made it public that he has finally listened to the people who have criticized Ford's EV productions, and so the company is now putting a stop production of all EVs. Instead, we'll be returning its attention to producing gas cars, but why? The reason behind this shift comes down to one thing. It's going to get a bit mathematical from here on, but stick with us. So Ford, in its attempts to sell EVs this year, has already lost more than $4 billion. Yikes! They have been selling EVs at a mind-boggling loss of $36,000 per vehicle. Double yikes. As a matter of fact, their January sales on EVs are just beyond sad. It is literally the worst in the entire decade. You must have guessed by now that the major reason Ford is halting their EV production is because of profit. Right now, EVs are wildly expensive, even for the average American. To make their vehicles more mainstream, Ford is offering a huge amount of discounts. Their vehicles would have been much more expensive if they were not selling at these overly discounted prices. But in the end, Ford is a business, and for them, EV is just bad business. So Ford has just ditched EVs and moved on to producing more gas cars that are guaranteed to make the company some profits and keep their doors open. So some time ago, when Joe Biden invested more than $9 billion in Ford's EV division, this investment was to force them to make more EVs. Ford did just that. It is the reason behind Ford hyping up production of its electric vehicles like crazy for the last 3 years. But that investment was not enough to help their EV sales from tanking. Be it the F-150 Lightning pickup or the Mustang Mach-E, Ford's EV sales have been tanking. This is because the public will not just buy them. These EVs have been bleeding money. And despite the government involvement, Ford hasn't quite hacked the EV market. Ford could only manage to sell about 4,600 EVs this recently in 2024. Their so-called flagship Mustang Mach-E sold about 1,200 units only, sending Ford a huge 51% drop when compared to last year's sales. A quick move around dealer lots showcases a pathetic scene as they are filled with Ford's F-150 Lightning pickups. Even with price cuts on these EVs, price cuts as high as 15,000 customers just refuse to buy them, and those who already bought them are scrambling to return them. So why is this happening? The Ford Mach-E price starts at $42,988, which at first sight seems like a pretty sweet deal, especially when compared with its close rival, the Tesla Model Y, which goes for quite a bit more. But here is the deal. All Tesla rides gets a fat $7,500 federal EV tax credit, which slashes the price to a total of $36,900. The Mach-E is not that lucky. The Mach-E does not gain from the same price cut that Teslas are given. This is thanks to some new laws made by the Biden administration, which is aimed at cutting down on reliance of some Chinese battery materials. The Mach-E was evicted from the tax credit club at the start of this year. Now, what is next for Ford? While Ford's EV sales tanked, Ford's gas car sales shot up through the roof by a jaw-dropping 42.7%. It's like suddenly everyone had a revelation about how awesome gas cars are and started flocking to buy them again. It looks like people have seen that EVs might be the future like they have been told, but that future is not now. Last year, Ford did something incredible by selling nearly 2 million vehicles. Both their gas and diesel sales have been on the rise, raking in billions in profits, while their EV division took a massive hit, losing a whopping $4 billion. Despite rolling out shiny new models like the F-150 Ranger and Explorer, Ford is in a tight spot. If they stop selling gas cars like the politicians want, they might just kiss their existence goodbye. It would be a terrible sight to see a company that has been open every day since 1903 might close its doors all because of Joe Biden's aggressive plan, which is demanding car makers produce EVs or face bankruptcy. That is just a cruel level of tough love, right? But here's the real kicker. Ford as a car manufacturer is not the only one feeling this tremendous negative force from producing EVs. Ford EV owners aren't having the time of their lives either. Imagine buying an EV to play your part and save the planet, only to face a nightmare of charging issues, weak batteries in the cold, and repair costs that could buy you an entirely new car. January 2024 brought a storm. That storm hit Ford massively. This disaster saw Ford's EV sales tanked by 11%. It's like we've time traveled back a decade. Everyone's scratching their heads, wondering what the heck happened. So why did Ford even bother with EVs if they knew they'd take a hit? Blame it on the government. The Biden administration laid down some strict emissions rules, forcing car companies to sell a certain number of EVs or cough up hefty fines. The solution to the current tight spot in which Ford finds itself is right in their faces, which is to focus on gas cars, and Ford has been doubling down on EV's gas-guzzling counterpart. It has been established that EVs do not make profits for Ford. So the Biden administration gave the public a $7,500 tax cut on EVs. The administration also told Ford to increase electric vehicle prices, which as a result caused the prices of EVs to shoot up by a whopping $25,000 compared to the prices of gas cars. Now guess where all that extra money is going? Straight into the pocket of the same government that offered tax cuts. But that is not all the antics the government has pulled to get their tax cut money back. Have you noticed that they have been hiking up interest rates? Well, if you haven't noticed, you should know that the government has been slowly increasing interest rates. The smart way they have increased interest rates ensures that the EV owners pay back their given tax cut within 2 years of owning the EV. Now we see people paying $500, $800, or even $1,000 monthly in car payments. Several people warned the public of the moves the governments were making. Car dealers, for one. The car dealers have the real numbers behind car sales and know which cars people want and which cars they rather not buy. Many of these car dealers, alongside 3,000 Ford dealers, signed this petition with a letter to Biden asking the government to stop forcing EVs on the public. In this letter they said EVs are not selling. Please let the people choose what they want. We're not ready for EVs. Like everything needed from the government, nothing was done about the request of the dealers contained their petition. Ford, on the other hand, start this thing called the Ford Model E Certified Program. It is like Ford's secret handshake for dealers. This program is designed to help dealers who want to sell their EVs. It is meant to assist in the fast sales of EVs. This did little to no help, as in fact some have started closing shop. There is a continued rapid decline in EV sales, and there is no end in sight. It appears that not even the government seems to know how to go about correcting the decline EVs are facing. For example, just when things seem to be smoothing out, the Biden administration dropped yet another bomb that the government is pushing for a wild shift to see 60% of all cars sold by the year 2030 to be electric, and for 67% by 2032. With the current situation, that is like going from 0 to 100 within the blink of an eye. Is Thuis the end of EVs? Let us know what you think. Thanks for watching our video. Do subscribe to our channel so as not to miss any updates in the world of EVs.